In a little town, there was a wise and beloved philosophy teacher. He had a reputation for going beyond textbooks and inspiring his students with valuable life lessons. One day, as his students gathered eagerly in the classroom, they noticed a large empty jar placed on his desk. The students exchanged curious glances. The teacher smiled warmly and said, "Class, today we are going to learn about the jar of life." He picked up a bag filled with stones and started placing them carefully into the jar until it was filled to the top. Turning to his students, he asked, "Is the jar full?" The students nodded, thinking the jar had reached its limit. But then, the teacher reached for a bag of pebbles and began pouring them into the jar. The pebbles settled among the spaces between the stones. "Is the jar full now?" he questioned, his eyes twinkling. The students hesitated this time, unsure of the teacher's intent. One brave student raised their hand and replied, "Maybe not." Smiling, the teacher nodded. He reached for a bag of sand and poured it into the jar. The sand sifted through the gaps, filling every available space. "And now, is the jar full?" he inquired, his voice full with expectation. One student replied, "Probably not." Then the teacher produced a pitcher of water and poured it into the jar. The water saturated the sand, finally filling the jar to the brim. "Now, is the jar full?" he asked, with his eyes gleaming with satisfaction. The students looked at each other as they responded more cautiously. Finally, a student dared to say, "No, it's full now." The philosophy teacher smiled, "But what can we learn from this jar of life?" The students looked at each other. The teacher began, "This jar represents your life, and the stones, pebbles, sand, and water symbolize different elements within it. The stones represent the most important things in your life, the values you hold dear, your family, your education, and your health. The pebbles represent the significant aspects, your friendship, hobbies, and personal growth. While they may not be as critical as the stones, they add depth and meaning to your life. The sand signifies the small, everyday tasks, obligations, and distractions. They can easily fill your time if you let them. The water represents the fleeting moments, the joy, laughter, and beauty that come and go, reminding us to cherish each passing day." Then he paused, letting his words sink in. He continued, "If you fill your jar with sand and water first, the trivial things, the stones and pebbles, will never find their place. But if you prioritize the stones, the important aspects, then the pebbles, sand, and water can fit in harmoniously, creating a life of balance and fulfillment." The students realized that they had the power to choose what filled their own jars of life. This lesson lives on, reminding us all to fill our jars of life with stones and pebbles, allowing the sand and water to find their place. May we prioritize what truly matters and live a life of purpose, joy, and fulfillment.